Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's October 1st, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. Great news. Government shutdown. But we're going to play the politics back and forth. It's Democrats' fault. It's Republicans' fault. They're all criminals. The entire government. I was wrong yesterday, I'll admit. I didn't think they would shut it down, but apparently they did. Republican narrative is Democrats shut down government to fund illegal alien healthcare. And if you really think about it, the Democrats are actually based in their Machiavellian approach, because I wouldn't wish healthcare from the Rockefeller medicine on my worst enemy. But until all of that is understood, then we continue to play these political games. Because if you really think about it, the whole point of getting these illegals, but I don't understand why we have to bring them here, because never forget State Department Memorandum 200, our official national policy toward the third world is still depopulation. And so we bring them here, put them on Rockefeller medicine to depopulate them. That's just, it's costing too much money to do this whole Machiavelli scheme that the Democrats are carrying out. Make no mistake, they're still eugenicists, depopulationists, Malthusians. Make no mistake about it. But the large majority out there just don't seem to understand. You see, it goes right over their head what's really going on here. Well, we care about the most vulnerable, you see. But backhandedly, because those are the easiest people to target and depopulate, is what's actually going on here. What else do we got today? So we got all of that fallouts, the back and forth from the big government, Democrat government shutdown. So now I'm a Chuck Schumer Democrat, apparently, until they sort out a deal. But don't you worry, the war here in America will continue. It's only a partial government shutdown. When I say I want a government shutdown, I'm talking about close the doors, demolish all the government buildings like they do in Gaza, and all of the government employees, from elected representatives all the way down to the janitor, all resign, is what I'm talking about of a government shutdown. I know that'll never happen in my anarchist utopian dreams, but that's my idea of a government shutdown. But for now, I'm a Chuck Schumer Democrat, sorry to say. But yeah, they announced, there's martial law in Memphis going by another name called Safe Task Force. So the war in America, and we do have a candid moment from Stephen Miller admitting the U.S. government is the biggest gang in the world. And so we have that clip. It never, I guess when it's taken out of context or not the proper context, it sounds correct. But when you understand the context, then things start making a whole lot more sense, and their lies stop working on pulling at your heartstrings. So we got all that. What are they doing? Literal black helicopters in Chicago, Black Hawk helicopters. I guess they're not even black helicopters. They're straight up Army helicopters there. Seems like a bit of overkill. We'll play that video. 300 ICE agents, some rappelling down onto the rooftop of a Chicago building from a Black Hawk helicopter to arrest 30 criminal illegal aliens. Some part of this Trendeagra gang. Oh, man. The show does go on, as Rucka said. Even though the government shut down, the show does go on. What do we got? A little Epstein news for you today, so we cannot forget that. And S&P, the fake markets, doesn't care if your fake government shuts down. Apparently, S&P 500 hitting all-time highs today in your economy. And last time I checked, silver, the ounce price for silver is what? Let me just check briefly on my app here so I get you the right price. Well, it went down a little bit. It closed over $47 an ounce. So, yeah, silver way up. It did a little sell off toward the end there of like 24 cents, but $47 an ounce closed over that. Was it 47? Silver closed at 47.07. Still trading around the world. That's U.S. markets, something like this. Okay, what else do we got? We got some AI news for you. We have a lot of geopolitical news as the youth around the world are protesting. And then, of course, we have Aardvarks busted Greta. And so reports of them spraying water cannons at this flotilla. It's now become an international event. And so all of that, all the fallout. And FBI says it's cutting ties, ending its relationship or partnership with the ADL. And so we're seeing some antiseptic behavior coming out of Cash Patel. They're at the FBI. He will have to be dealt with accordingly. And they essentially say here, Defense Minister there, Katz out of Aardvark land essentially says, leave Gaza or die. He's saying if you don't leave, you will be assumed a supporter of terrorism, i.e. Hamas, i.e. bang, bang on you. But it doesn't really matter. They're all assumed Hamas anyway. But anyway, that's what they're putting out today. We'll cover all of that. A lot of pushback internationally here now against the Aardvarks. But hey, what the hell? America supports them to the end, regardless of ethnic cleansing, the genocide, the war crimes. America has your back, Aardvarks. So don't you worry about a thing. All right. We got a lot in this day in history to get to. Let me try to blast through it as efficiently as possible here now. Shout out, before we get going, shout out to our supporters. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers over there. The holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. Put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your Cybertruck, however you may want to represent Weaponized News, your work locker. We appreciate all of the support and the donations as well. The donations are, amongst other ways, in the description below this video: Cash App, Bitcoin wallet address. Go buy me a coffee, all in the description below. Go to weaponizednews.com, PayPal donation, or go to our store. Help support independent reporting and analysis like no one else on the interwebs. Again, I was wrong. I didn't think the Democrats would go to these lengths to shut down the government, but they have. They have. And so congratulations to the Democrats for being based on this day. It's very short-lived and for the wrong reasons and all political, but we take what we can get for wins here at Weaponized News. And what else do we got? Oh, shout out to Snarky Guy. I know there's some, I had a Snarky saying that the audio for the clips I play is too loud, but I had other listeners tell us, Snarky Guy, that they were too low, and there is no, I don't have a program to equalize the clips. Sometimes it's the clips audio. Sometimes I have it cranked up, and I'm working on some busted headphones with like, I only get good audio half the time in one speaker over here. So anyway, we do what we can. You need to be able to hear it, and so I'm sorry if the sound is not equalized between my voice and the clips that I play, but that's what you do with some makeshift operation over here at Weaponized News. This is why we need more funding. We don't have a budget at all, actually. So I'm doing what I can over here, but I will try to keep that in mind to have some equalized sound. I understand it's not, we're trying to do the best broadcast we can here, but I do appreciate the feedback and letting me know, because I literally have no idea, and I very, very rarely can go back and find the time to rewatch a show to even tell you. So I do rely on the audience. I am listening to you guys, and I'm doing the best I can. I will look for some type of solution just to let you know to do. And again, thank you to all our subscribers, supporters. It's truly appreciated here at Weaponized News. Okay, let's get through this day in history. Quite a bit went on this October 1st. Going back to the year, and we look at our history and we see these things are long, right? Long going. In the year 1653, on this day, Russia Parliament accepts annexation of Crimea. Huh? And they're still fighting over it, right? The little right here. Where the heck is it now? Crimea, right here, right? Still fighting over this little chunk. It's a nice piece of land right there on the Black Sea for ports and the like. So yeah, we're still fighting. Not we, I guess we indirectly, almost directly here now. America somehow, with the backing of Ukraine and NATO, is still fighting over Crimea, fighting with Russia over who's going to control Crimea here all these years later. In 1688, on this date, Prince William of Orange accepts invitation to take up the British crown. In 1801, on this day, Britain and France signed the Preliminary of London. In 1800, Spain cedes Louisiana to France in a secret treaty on this day. In 1814, Congress of Vienna, opening of the Congress of Vienna redraws Europe's political map after the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte on this day. Very tragic on this day. In 1864, a cyclone in Calcutta, India strikes, killing an estimated 70,000 people. Quite a tragic event there. I'm sure it was partially due to man-made climate change in 1864. In 1888, we saw the first publication of National Geographic magazine. In 1890, we saw the U.S. Congress create the Weather Bureau. Also in 1990, on this day, U.S. Congress establishes Yosemite National Park in California. If you haven't been there, it is quite a sight. In 1891, on this day, Stanford University opens and backhandedly used as a government intelligence operation ever since. Stanford University, California, opens its doors after being funded by Leland Stanford and his wife Jane with a $40 million donation in memory of their son. Among its first graduating class is future president of America, Herbert Hoover. Wouldn't you know? And the next year, in 1892, the University of Chicago opens its doors and subsequently been working to undermine American sovereignty ever since. We do appreciate those efforts. And in 1898, the noticing picked up. Aardvarks are expelled from Kiev, Ukraine. And also, Tsar Nikolai II expels aardvarks from major Russian cities. So the Russians were noticing all the way back in 1898 on this day. Horrific, I know. In 1907, a downturn in the stock market leads to a run on the dollar. Then U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt calls on financier J.P. Morgan to help manage the financial crisis. Almost like it was all engineered as a prelude to a private central bank to stop the boom and bust cycles that they engineer. Moving forward here in history to 1908. Is it 1908? Yes, 1908. Ford puts millions in the driver's seat. Henry Ford introduces the Model T car priced at $825, and you can have any color you want as long as it's black. Actually, a major innovation here now as part of the Industrial Revolution for Americans' freedom to travel more efficiently, pushing the horse out of the way. 4-cylinder, 22 horsepower, and a 100-inch wheelbase. Here's the advertisement for the first Model Ts here now, putting millions in the driver's seat. There you go. Pretty sweet ride back then, I would say. And what year was that? 1908? Pretty sweet ride. In 1910, on this day, explosion at the Los Angeles Times kills 21 people. On this day, in 1918, World War I, a combined Arab-British force led by Lawrence of Arabia captures Damascus from the Ottoman Empire. In 1934, on this day, Adolf Hitler expands German army and navy, violating the Treaty of Versailles. In 1939, on this day, Winston Churchill calls Russia a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. In 1942, on this date, Little Golden Books, children's books, begin publishing. In 1945, on this day, U.S. Office of Strategic Services, OSS, precursor to the CIA, disbands. In 1949, on this day, the People's Republic of China is proclaimed by Mao Zedong at the Tiananmen Gate in Peking, the new country's first national day. In 1952, and maybe, just maybe, this is part of the downfall of Portland, Oregon, that now the federal government has to declare war on it, essentially. In 1952, we saw the first ultra-high frequency UHF television station broadcasting out of Portland, Oregon. And so the brain rot may very well have started in 1952 with the first UHF television broadcast out of Portland, Oregon. Maybe we found a starting point for the disaster that is Portland, Oregon. 1957, and again, which God are they talking about? The first appearance of In God We Trust on U.S. paper currency. Isn't that lovely? With an all-seeing eye as well. So again, what God are they referring to? I think it may be different than the God that the majority out there thinks. And in 1964, free speech movement is launched at the University of California, Berkeley. And here is the video from then war activist and free speech activist Mario Savino. And this is the all-time classic, Operation of the Machine.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
That was Chuck Schumer earlier. No, just kidding. That was actually for a whole different legitimate reason there to be protesting. Okay, go free speech. Now Berkeley's against free speech. What do you know? In 1974, on this day, we saw computer scientist Gary Kildall presents the prototype of his CP/M operating system in his backyard tool shed. Sure, it's always the first commercially successful personal computer operating system. And also on this day in 1974, Watergate cover-up trial begins in Washington, D.C. In 1990, on this day, the U.S. condemns invasion of Kuwait at the United Nations after backhandedly old George H.W. Bush gave Saddam Hussein the okay to invade Kuwait, but then turned around and said, oh my gosh, we got to go protect these poor Kuwaitis. Because George W. Bush cares about people, or George H.W. Bush, Senior, Daddy Bush, excuse me, he cares about the people of Kuwait. Let me tell you. And then moving forward to 2013 on this day, a partial U.S. federal government shutdown occurs due to political disagreements over operational spending. So they play this game, you know. And in 2017, O.J. Simpson is released. Former NFL star O.J. Simpson is released from Nevada Lovelock Prison after serving less than 9 years on his 33-year prison sentence for armed robbery and kidnapping. And then in 2021, not that long ago, we saw the global bat death toll of recorded cases surpass 5 million as the Delta variant continues to surge around the world. And the U.S. bat death toll surpasses 700,000, with daily deaths averaging 1,900, recorded on this day of October 1st, 2021. And as we have documented up one side and down the other, repeal the PrEP Act. Here now is my answer to all this. Okay, this day in our civil liberties history, what do we got here? We got Annual Free Speech Day in California. It was first commemorated in 1985, and we played a little bit about the lead up to it. In 1979 on this day, H-bomb secret explodes, but published article contains no actual secrets. The Progressive magazine on this day published an article by Howard Moreland on the H-bomb, which the government claimed revealed the alleged secret of how to make the bomb. The government enjoined the publication of that issue March 9th, 1979, but after lengthy legal proceedings finally gave up. Moreland argued that the article only discussed the conceptual aspects of the H-bomb with no technical engineering details necessary to make one, and no authority has since claimed that the article contains the, quote, secret to the H-bomb. The affair echoed an incredible incident nearly 30 years earlier when government officials on March 31st, 1950 seized and burned all 3,000 copies of the respected magazine Scientific American because they alleged that an article on atomic energy revealed the, quote, secret to the atomic bomb. Coming at the height of the Cold War, the incident passed with only very limited news coverage and public protest. And with that, let's get to, and also we had Jane Goodall die today at the age of 91. And she was an avowed depopulationist and eugenicist. And so we do appreciate it. Here's some wise words from old Jane Goodall.
My next great adventure, age 90, is going to be dying. There's either nothing or something. And if there's something, if there's nothing, that's it. If there's something, I can't think of a greater adventure than finding out what it is. I happen to think there is something because of experiences I've had, because of experiences other people have had, very powerful ones. My next
Jane Goodall. Here's her thoughts about the population at the World Economic Forum here.
And then finally, we cannot hide away from human population growth, because it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
So there you have it. Bless her heart, Jane Goodall, a good Malthusian eugenicist there, as she's passed on now to the wherever it may be for her. Pretty clear whose fault this is. Whose fault is the? I thought it was Well, U.S. government shuts down after Senate Democrats fail to support stopgap funding bill. Democrats vote down federal funding bill, putting government on path to shutdown. Democrats defeat Republican funding plan, taking government to the brink of shutdown. Senate Democrats vote down Republican bill to keep funding the government, putting it on a path to shutdown. See, now all you MAGA Republicans, y'all love the government, you see? And so you're all shill, fraud, hack, clownfluencers, as far as I'm concerned. Let's hear now, oh my gosh, the partial shutdown of the U.S. federal government. We need like champagne or something. There you go. And of course, it's the Democrats.
Democrats in Congress have officially shut down the United States government. House Republicans passed a nonpartisan, clean piece of legislation to extend current government funding until November 21st. But nearly every single Democrat senator voted against this bill. To be clear, this was the exact same bill that Democrats approved 6 short months ago.
Based Democrats here now. Let's take a look. We haven't even looked at it for a minute here. It's so dizzying, the U.S. debt clock. Let's take a look. Don't even talk about, hey, we're at 37. We're already at $37.5 trillion official national debt. Not even talking about the unfunded liabilities and the missing money that Catherine Austin Fitts talks about all the time. Not even talking about any of that. Just Trump. Hey, what the hell? $1 trillion to the Pentagon. They don't even books. What accounting? That's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Whatever, dude. So yeah, we're at 37 over 0.5 trillion, and it's just ticking faster than we can count over here in the national debt. Reminder: physically conservative Republicans. That used to be a thing in the Tea Party days. Now it's just whatever, dude. It's the Democrats' fault. Oh, go MAGA, make America great. Here is Mr. Technocracy, Vice President J.D. Vance.
So let me make one final point. I think a lot of Americans are asking themselves, why did this happen? Why did the Democrats shut down the government despite, as Caroline said, voting on the exact same piece of legislation 6 months ago? And there are a lot of different spins that we can put on it, a lot of different answers that we could give, all of them true. One answer I already gave is that they want to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. That is true. They gave us legislative text that would have undone us cutting off health care benefits for illegal aliens. That's one of the things that they asked for. But the reality here, and let's be honest about the politics, is that Chuck Schumer is terrified she's going to get a primary challenge from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The reason why the American people's government is shut down is because Chuck Schumer is listening to the far left radicals in his own party because he's terrified of a primary challenge. So I'd invite Chuck Schumer to join the moderate Democrats and 52 Senate Republicans, do the right thing, open up the people's government, and then let's fix healthcare policy for the American people.
Yeah, right. So see, Chuck Schumer is based now for probably like a day. Here's the alleged politics behind Chuck Schumer's decision making. Maybe. There's propaganda from the White House. It's all the Democrats.
Democrats, the party of open borders, transgender for everybody, lawlessness in our streets, are shutting down the government in an effort to appease the radical left. These Democrats are coordinating their strategy with outside leftist groups and are demanding nearly $1.5 trillion in spending for an agenda that includes healthcare for illegal aliens and much, much more. Democrats for years have railed against government shutdowns, claiming a shutdown would mean much chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Democrats are out of control, and you know who it hurts?
You, everyday people, and the most vulnerable. Seniors, veterans, working families, hungry kids, y'all.
Tell Congress to avoid the Democrat-led government shutdown.
No, keep going. Democrats are doing a wonderful job. Instead of looking out for hardworking Americans, Democrats have shut down the government to pander to the far left. Really? This is a secretary of, what is this even person? There's too many government workers. They should start by resigning. Secretary of Labor, excuse me, should have known, but she has this big old name, Lori Chavez de Rimmer, Secretary of Labor. And she says that this means that the Department of Labor must pause OSHA's routine safety and health inspections to prevent accidents, illness, and fatalities. The government, see, they keep you safe. There now we're going to have a bunch of OSHA problems. Nearly all wage and hour division investigations to protect earnings like overtime and leave pay suspended. Training programs that protect the miners working to restore American energy dominance suspended. Registration of new apprenticeship standards slowing down our ability to address labor shortages in critical industries suspended. Support our veterans depend on to protect their jobs and build new careers suspended. Collection and release of key economic data that impacts businesses, decisions, and market activities suspended. So no more fake government data. I don't know what we would do without that, you know what I mean, to misinform the markets and the economy. So very sad that all of those very essential services at the Department of Labor are going to be no longer available. Blame the Democrats, of course. Here's the comptroller. Why don't we ask the question, why the hell are 400,000 Marylanders dependent on federal government paychecks? Yeah. How about that?
And once again, hardworking Americans, particularly Marylanders, will pay the price for this recklessness. The shutdown is not just a policy agreement among federal leaders. It's the abandonment of at least 400,000 Marylanders who depend on federal paychecks as employees or contractors.
Well, there you go. The moral of the story is, sorry to say, don't be dependent on government, especially with $37.5 trillion in debt hanging over our heads here now as taxpayers. Democrats shut down their $1.5 trillion radical wish list, $1 trillion radical list, wish list, free healthcare for illegal aliens, and zero regard for Americans. Really? But they're not getting the Machiavelli nature of the Democrats. See, we're all acting like everybody's good actors, no ulterior motives, and they're not Malthusian eugenicists. You know what I'm saying? Maybe someday, some way, I have my doubts that idiot America will wake up to the facts of the situation.
The Senate is now finished with that procedural vote on the House-backed Republican proposal. And this has to do with breaking the filibuster, because they want to get to funding the government. At least I hope Democrats want to get to that. I don't know. Theirs failed earlier, and this was the Republican vote. We don't expect these to necessarily pass, but remember, you get to see who's on the record, particularly among the Dems, who's going to...
So for times like this, now you can see clearly who's the enemy. Everybody that wants the government to keep going. Reporter, is it... Oh, they're trolling too to show you how much they care and what a crisis it is. Here's Trump trolling the Democrats, and it is kind of funny. If I didn't hate all of their guts, it would be funny. But here's the professionalism of the chief executive of America here now, as they whine and cry. All the Americans hurt because they're dependent on government, getting their services and funding cut off. This is what the Democrat, or is he Democrat? No, the Republican, allegedly. Looks like a socialist to me. Old Donald Trump posted, 2 days ago?
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, at least for a while, until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Damn, I can't believe the president posted that. He did indeed. Wow. And then here is J.D. Vance's reply when asked about this troll post.
I see some images of Leader Jeffries and Senator Schumer.
I saw
recently. You've said that you're interested in good faith negotiations with these leaders, but what message does that send? Is it helpful just post pictures of Leader Jeffries in a sombrero if you're trying to have good faith talks with him?
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And
extortion through memes here is where we're at. And we can only hope. Politico says mass firings will begin in a day or two. Do it now, immediately. The Office of Management of Budget Chief Russ Vaught told House Republicans on a private call today that the administration will start mass reduction in force moves or firings of federal workers in a day or two. Now. We want it now. There's a news clip about said mass federal government firings.
That the president is threatening to fire federal workers if we can't reach an agreement without offering any meaningful solutions here. The president continues to threaten those workers, but please know, if you're a civil servant in the state of Maryland, know that we have your back as a team. That's why we're here today, to announce all the ways that our offices can continue to deliver for you each and every day. The federal government might be shut down, but our offices are working. We will answer.
You're done. Technocracy already took over, and Denver is right. He's pretty sure AI will solve all these problems. I don't know if it'll solve the problems, but it is going to be used to replace these government workers. They're just leeches, essentially. They are dinosaurs, and the time has passed, and their service is no longer needed. And so that would fire them right now. They should have been right there as soon as the vote was a no by the Democrats. Start firing their ass, because you already got AI lined up to replace them. You know what I'm saying? As we continue to report here at Weaponized News. So, yeah, Democrats see no need to capitulate, nor Republicans to cut a deal. Failing New York Times headline. We can only hope that the gridlock will go on forever and they will subsequently fire the entire federal government. I have serious doubts, but one can dream. Government shutdown, live updates, layoffs coming in days. We need more than layoffs. We need outright firings, and don't come back and lock the door and freaking Gaza the building. Here's what is affected by the government shutdown. Social Security checks are still coming for those that have been victims of that Ponzi scheme, as we all are. So, yeah, Social Security checks are still coming. Maybe you could get in a national park. They jerk around with that. What else? So here's the proof, according to the White House. Yes, $200 billion. Unhinged Democrats shut down the government for illegals and non-citizens. And they go through the line items here about the funding. And it's not, but they told us 2.5 trillion. Who cares? You know what I mean? What's a couple billion, 800 and a trillion? What's a couple trillion now? So here you can see what ending Medicaid funding for most non-citizens, ending enhanced FMAP for emergency care to illegal immigrants, closing the California loophole, ending Medicare funding for most non-citizens, ending Obamacare funding for most non-citizens, repealing the Obamacare special rule for immigrants. Here's a nice little graph the White House put out here. The Democrat funding proposal spends enough on healthcare for illegal immigrants and other non-citizens to fund the entire children's health insurance program for a decade. We're still missing the big picture that Rockefeller medicine is eugenics depopulation program, but they never put any of this in the correct context, and we fight over complete and utter bullshit. Thank you, lying criminal government. What else do they got? Yeah. Democrats are all bad. In my mind, they're good on this occasion. Okay, the war on America. This is a flashback from Trump yesterday. I think we played this clip, but it's worth playing again as he talks about war on America. It's a crime emergency.
What they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let...
It's a war from within here now. The Pentagon Under Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is preparing new rules requiring thousands of military and civilian officials to sign strict NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and undergo random polygraph tests to stop leaks. Thousands at headquarters and beyond, including top officials, measures mandatory NDAs, random lie detector test, and the goal of this new initiative by the Department of War Secretary is to clamp down on unauthorized disclosures. War on leakers. We got a war on drugs, a war on far left terrorists, a war on leakers, a war on fishermen in the Caribbean Sea. We got a war on terror. But Trump is lobbying for the Nobel Peace Prize and may very well receive it. Trump, the governor of Oregon, must be living in a dream world. Portland is a never-ending disaster. I'm saying that it started due to this UHF television broadcast in 1952 is where it all started going downhill there for Portland. Portland is in a never-ending disaster. Many people have been badly hurt and even killed. It runs like a third world country. We have no choice. Law and order must prevail in our cities and everywhere else. So there you go. War on communication. There's a war on, yeah, there's a war on everything if you haven't noticed. And de facto, of course, they're not calling it that because the federalization of police in Memphis, Tennessee is a great blessing. In just 48 hours, our Memphis Safe Task Force has made 53 arrests and seized 20 illegal firearms. And that's from old Blondie Bondi there at the DOJ. So the martial law in Memphis, Tennessee is going well, according to the Department of Justice. And here is saying the quiet part out loud, apparently. Stephen Miller, gangbangers think they're hardcore. We are so much more hardcore than they are.
The gangbangers that you deal with, they think that they're ruthless. They have no idea how ruthless we are. They think they're tough. They have no idea how tough we are. They think that they're hardcore. We are so much more hardcore than they are. And we have the entire weight of the United States government behind us. What do they have? They have nothing behind them. So we are going to win. They are going to lose. We are going to rescue Memphis. And it will not only be safer than ever before, but businesses and investment are going to pour in, and Memphis will be richer than ever before. Because President Trump has decided this is a priority. And when President Trump makes a decision, this team behind me today executes. Thank you, and God bless.
You just admitted the biggest criminal gang on the planet, U.S. federal government right there. Don't doubt it. Here is, we don't have time to play it, but I will put it in the link to the, on Weaponized News Substack. Welcome to America's Killing Ground, a documentary over there on the YouTube about the gangs in Memphis, Tennessee. So for those interested, again, it'll be in the links on the Weaponized News Substack. D.C. police sergeant arrested in chaotic chase with federal agents despite liberals insisting city is safe. And they always have to give us their political spin. This is a report out of the Daily Caller. A D.C. police sergeant is accused of crashing a car into a federal vehicle during a traffic stop and fleeing from agents. He faces gun charges. Well, I'm surprised that they're even going after him. He is, back the blue, but apparently this corrupt cop has been caught up in the dragnet there in D.C., sadly to report to you. Yeah. So, yeah, the National Guard is there in Oregon, allegedly protecting federal immigration detention facilities, the ICE facilities. Department of Homeland Security. So, yeah, there's wars on all fronts. Now arrives the hour of action. Right from Department of Homeland Security. They posted this earlier this morning. And so Homeland Security, take a look at this. They're not based because they're unconstitutional. Communist denied, terrorist denied, globalist denied. And the classic based Chad here. Really? Does the base Chad work for the unconstitutional federal bureaucracy known as the Department of Homeland Security? Really? I'm calling a flag on this one. You're out of there, based Chad, because base Chad wouldn't work for the government. So Yeah, bad meme there. War on drugs, aforementioned here. Allegedly, the Coast Guard claims they've seized now 12,750 pounds of cocaine worth $94.5 million as part of Operation Pacific Viper. And so, yeah, I guess there were drug boats there after all. But there's also fishing boats, and they brag no one is even in the water. So how did they catch this one? I don't know. But that's the claim they're making. That is a whole lot of the cocaine there. Taking out the competition for the CIA, and we wouldn't have it any other way. What else do we got as we go through this? Oh, was it overkill? I don't know. This is a crazy report. 300 ICE agents repelling off of Black Hawk helicopters, some of them. Let's watch this crazy report. Seems overkill to me. Maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't there, but wow. Yeah. It's full on war here in America, all for our own safety, of course.
Led 300 federal officials to that apartment complex. Some even rappelled down from Blackhawks onto the rooftop in order to help secure that perimeter. Now, they were searching for suspected members of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Of course, TDA has been designated as a terrorist organization under the Trump administration. Now, it was the biggest show of force that we've ever seen on the ground here. We had agencies, FBI, Border Patrol, ICE, and ATF all involved here, and they were all looking for targets in that same exact building. It was a 5-story building. It was a tall task for them, and anything could have gone wrong. But luckily, the operations went pretty smoothly. Preliminary reports show that about 30 illegal immigrants were arrested in this operation, some of them suspected Tren de Aragua. Now, we talked with Chief Gregory Bovino, who's running the operations on the ground for many of these ops in Chicago, and he had some words for people that are pushing back against his operations. Take a listen.
How about you live in the apartment next door to Tren de Aragua members that are trafficking in prostitution, guns, drugs, and taking advantage of American citizens in a violent way? Why don't you live next to them and then see how much of a Gestapo or a Nazi we are?
Department of Homeland Security says, despite Democrats' government shutdown, don't you worry, our ICE and Border Patrol law enforcement are continuing to liberate Chicago from violent criminal illegal aliens, including rapists, TDA terrorists, and criminals convicted of assault. This is posted by the Department of Homeland Security.
You have hundreds of anti-ICE protesters shutting down a major street. This is downtown Chicago, the heart of the Windy City, as the administration continues to target suspected migrant gang members. In Chicago, Mike Tobin's got his hands full. He joins us now for the latest on what's happening today. Mike. Give it another shot here. Hey, Mike Tobin, Bill Hemmer, we're
Whatever, dude. Yeah, they're protesting the ICE. They haven't even rolled out the National Guard to Chicago yet. That's coming. But they do have Black Hawk helicopters there. So a full military presence, as you can tell. They have got to go. And so some nice repurposed government propaganda there from, again, Department of Homeland Security. Every criminal illegal alien must go. America for Americans. And the irony coming out of the illegal Department of Homeland Security. So there you go. A little bit here on the Epstein saga that continues. The Democrat hoax that it is, according to Trump. Epstein's ties to banks and hedge funds are far more extensive than previously thought. The National Post, but the real... go to Johnny Vedmore. He's done the deep dives, got all the information there. So go check out his site, or he's on the X if you want the deep dives into the Epstein stuff. No better source than Johnny Vedmore. Okay, so what happened? Newly reported documents have revealed Jeffrey Epstein's extensive banking activities and transactions before his death. Who was involved? Jeffrey Epstein, several banks, hedge funds, and known associates, including the former Bill Clinton era Treasury Secretary and Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro era National Economic Council Director Larry Summers. When and where? Before Epstein's death in 2019. Epstein didn't kill himself. Involving banks and entities across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. The House Oversight Committee may issue subpoenas for bank records, potentially leading to further investigations. So the saga continues. Follow the money, no? Maybe. See, old Secretary, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, he doesn't know. Trump cabinet chief reveals super creepy encounter with Jeffrey Epstein over massage table. And we can definitely trust Howard Lutnick.
He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
All right. So we are in number 11 and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice.
Right.
Okay. It was derelict.
Right.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 2008, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. So my wife and I go next door. We walk the 7 steps,
yes,
right, to the next house for coffee. We share a wall.
Right.
So it's in New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, do you want a tour? We said, great.
Interesting.
He's got a really big house.
Every room you went into?
He's got, well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide. And so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room. And then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the doors and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Oh,
so I was never in the room with him socially.
Sure, buddy. He knew nothing about what went on, and that all creeped him out. Sure. Here's a clip from Republican Senator Ted Cruz at Senate hearing regarding old Epstein.
Now, Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard went to D.C. Robbery fell by 57%. Homicide fell by 58%. Sex abuse fell by 40%. Those are real results. And Detective Pemberton, if you would tell this committee what was the effect of the 2022 Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Law, and what would the benefit be for the people of D.C. if Congress passes my Clean D.C. Act?
Thank you, Senator Cruz, and thank you for introducing the Clean DC Act, which repeals the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Act. It is unquestionably one of the worst pieces of legislation, public safety legislation I've ever seen, and it has
justification for a police state for your safety. Of course, you'll be safe if there's men with guns and you're in a cell. You'll be safe, maybe, but not from them. Okay, let's take the live commercial break now at the top of the hour. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself a holograph sticker here, a white background sticker, and a clear sticker. Weaponizednews.com, put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar. Help support independent reporting and analysis, brought to you 5 days a week here by Weaponized News. And let's hear a word from our sponsor, and we'll be back with the second half of the show. Here is Abazaba Enterprises.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250 for stress-free solutions.
And we're back to the second half of Weaponized News. Thank you for joining us on this October 1st, 2025, as we're celebrating the government shutdown. Fraud charges filed against 12 defendants in Phase 2 Operation Nightingale. Remember this went on, 6-8 months ago, something like this. Turns out they're still cracking down there in, I believe it's Florida, on this rash of people working as registered nurses with under false credentials. And so it turns out there's quite a operation going on there. And so if your licensed healthcare professionals weren't bad enough, imagine this, maybe you would get better healthcare. But out of Miami, in the latest development of Operation Nightingale, a scheme that created an illegal licensing and employment shortcut for aspiring nurses, fraud-related charges have been filed against 12 defendants for their roles in selling fraudulent nursing diplomas and transcripts. If only that was the least, that's the least of our problems. Oh, and well, here you go. Everything's awesome, dude, because the S&P 500 went over 6,700 for the first time ever.
Stocks shaking off the shutdown, charging higher. The S&P 500 hitting 6,700 for the first time ever. A new all-time closing high for the Dow as well. Fractionally, the NASDAQ, the best performer today, but closing just short of a record. Healthcare, once again, the best performing sector.
There you go. Government should stay shut down for the economy. There's your proof right there. Okay, where are we at? Oh, well, we had some talk of AI earlier. Hopefully it can be used to replace all this government job and further accelerate technocracy. But do you want an AI home? Gog thinking. Google reveals a home AI that can see if your kids stay up past their bedtime and even fix dishwashers, plus new smart gadgets. And so isn't this all wonderful? They sell you this smart gadget crap and it breaks, but don't you worry. AI is going to come fix it and our broken government. Google has upgraded its virtual Gemini assistants for your home, and you can now ask it to fix the dishwasher, find out when your kids went to sleep, and even whether you left the car door open. Isn't it all so wonderful? AI taking care of you as a technocracy is increasing at a rapid pace. DoorDash unleashes fleet of delivery bots called Dots. Dots. Get it? Isn't it all so cute and funny? As, yeah, they're taking your job. Who cares? You know what I mean? On streets of Phoenix, DoorDash customers in Phoenix metro area may have their next meal delivered to their homes, not by a Dasher, but by a Dot. Isn't it all so cute? Here's the video of technocracy. You'll have no job and love it. You'll own nothing and be happy. As the World Economic Forum has told us, I don't know how you can afford DoorDash at that point. Who cares? Isn't it also cute? Imagine it fully weaponized with machine guns, flamethrowers, and grenade launchers on it. So it is so wonderful. AI-generated actress Tilly Norwood sparks Hollywood backlash. So apparently your acting jobs are done here now. Let's watch the video on this. AI commissioner comedy sketch. Here is the Tilly Norwood is the creation of an AI production studio. So no more delivery drivers, no more propaganda from Hollywood.
This morning, Hollywood actors are speaking out, responding to reports that multiple talent agencies are interested in signing an AI actress.
I'm built on everything that came before me.
Tilly Norwood might seem like any other aspiring actress. She has an Instagram page showing off her screen tests alongside candid moments.
Tilly Norwood, 100% AI generated.
She even posted this video on Facebook, which she says features her first on-camera role.
Let's get to know each other, and thanks for watching.
But Tilly Norwood is not a real actress. She's a character generated by artificial intelligence. Her creator says she's getting very real attention. Elaine Vandervelden runs the AI talent company that made Tilly. She says, when we first launched Tilly, people were like, what's that? And now we're going to be announcing which agency is going to be representing her. But that announcement, not sitting well with many Hollywood stars. Emily Blunt saying, this is really, really scary. Come on, agencies, don't do that. Marvel star Simu Liu saying, movies are great, but you know what would be better is if the characters in them weren't played by actual humans, but by AI replicas approximating human emotion.
You are suddenly up against something that's been generated.
They're figuring it out, maybe slowly here now, but they could give a damn about your DoorDash delivery driver's job. This is fully AI here now. Comedy sketch. They even give you the warning at the beginning.
We all knew TV was dead, but thought, why not squeeze in one last development meeting?
We had one rule: no missing children, no dead women, and no reboots of Heartbeat.
We'd pitched this beautiful comedy, two sisters running a funeral parlour in Margate. Warm, weird, very BBC Two.
Commissioner said no. AI generated 100 better ideas in minutes, perfectly aligned to channel data, viewing figures, and optimised for the audience. The winning AI format?
I know what you streamed last summer.
Interactive thriller built from your streaming history and delivery orders.
What? And who could forget the mental health format?
Britain's Got Breakdown. Audience votes on who gets therapy.
Ian Katz loved that one. I remember saying, you do realise this is for BBC Two? It tested ridiculously well, particularly among men who shop at Screwfix and women obsessed with gut health.
All made for less than the catering budget on The Bear.
It cast and budgeted itself. Only bit it struggled with was consent in romantic scenes. We
we just ignored that.
It wrote the whole script. Claude 3, Gemini, GPT. We called it a writer's room. It even did its own Silver Mouse paperwork and immediately got Albert certified.
What's Silver Mouse?
Just an elaborate BBC hazing ritual.
Who did it cast?
Tilly Norwood, 100% AI generated.
By some company called Particle 6.
She'll do anything I say. I'm already in love. Girl next door vibes.
Like if a Sunday roast went to drama school and got BAFTA optimized.
But can she cry on Graham Norton?
Of course she can. And it'll be clipped, subtitled, and monetized on TikTok by lunchtime.
We're all going to hell.
Got recommissioned, didn't it?
3 seasons and a podcast.
By an AI commissioner, much faster.
But hey, at least it wasn't a reboot.
There you go. AI does consider diversity, so we thank it for that. Its equity-minded approach to all this fakeness. Babies could be born without biological mothers. U.S. research raises possibility of IVF embryos with 2 genetic fathers and no DNA from a mother. Report out of UK Telegraph. I don't know what could go wrong here, right? Complete psychos, but whatever, dude. Babies could be born without a biological mother after scientists created functional human eggs from skin. American researchers demonstrated it was possible to replace the DNA from an egg with the genetic material from another person's skin and turn it into a sex cell ready for fertilization. When the team fertilized the egg with sperm, it began growing into an embryo until the experiment was halted at 6 days, the point at which an embryo would be transferred to the womb in IVF. It's a brave new world they're rolling out here to us. Isn't it also wonderful? Okay, where are we at here? Oh, Elon Musk has overtaken, thankfully, officially, publicly, has overtaken Larry Ellison to become the richest man in the world again. Elon Musk has become the first person in the history of the world to reach a net worth of $500 billion, according to a report out of Forbes magazine. Here is Mike Rothschild says every conspiracy theory has a hint of anti-Semitism in it. And of course it does.
Disinformation expert Mike Rothschild and former FBI and CIA Special Agent Tracy Walder. Great to have you both here. Mike, how do these spread? And by the way, why are we seeing so many anti-Semitic conspiracy theories right now?
Well, as I wrote about in one of my books, all conspiracy theories essentially have a hint of anti-Semitism, and all anti-Semitism is based around conspiracy theories. It's very natural for an unexpected traumatic event like Charlie Kirk's murder, caught on camera in front of hundreds of people, instantly broadcast around the world, to send people spinning off into wild theories of what happened, why it happened, who did it. We had no idea for all.
What's this guy's name? Mike Rothschild. Imagine your job is you're a disinformation expert. Really? The youth of the world. Who was it? I can't even remember now off the top of my head. We report so much here. It was Nepal. Remember Nepal? What, a couple of weeks back, burned down government buildings for allegedly censorship of the interwebs, and also due to government corruption. Now we see Madagascar, Gen Z is leading a wave of unrest fueled by blackouts and failing infrastructure, with protesters demanding reliable water and electricity, police crackdown, and a government-imposed curfew. has only intensified the uprising. The UN reports that at least 22 have been killed, while supermarkets and banks have been looted nationwide. So that's going on in Madagascar. In Morocco, and Morocco does have a curious, let me just pull that up for you. I should have prepared it, excuse me, for the show. But Morocco does have a curiously satanic flag for their nation, just saying. Here is the flag of Morocco. If we can pull it up here, get a decent image of it. Here it is. I don't know. Flag of Morocco? I don't know, man. I don't know. Flip it upside down. You got to and put a circle around it. I don't know. Okay, yeah. Morocco is having civil unrest as well. Morocco's Interior Ministry reports that youth-led protests against government corruption left 286 people injured and 409 were arrested. The Pope, Leo, today blessed a giant ice cube. As we're still in UN Climate Week, maybe. Did we get past it? I don't know, but this is a bizarre ritual.
Stand for the blessing of the waters.
There you go. It's blessed. It's kosher now. What else about that? Was there anything about that? Anything else about that? The Pope was speaking at a climate justice conference along with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator. As Arnold Schwarzenegger shares how he got Californians interested in climate change. Well, thank you very much for that hoax fraud, Mr. Terminator. Using an advert with a little kid trying to inhale, and then this child faded. We got to talk instead of the brain. We got to talk to the heart to emotionally manipulate you into believing that somehow you can control the weather through your fraudulent carbon tax schemes. French troops have boarded the deck of a tanker alleged to be from Russia, Shadow Fleet, and suspected involvement in drone flights over Denmark last month, according to a report out of AFP. Ursula von der Leyen out of the EU announces $4 billion euros will be distributed to Ukraine today, including $2 billion for drones, as the war there between Russia, Ukraine, and essentially NATO and the EU is escalating. Unprecedented refinery crisis in Russia after Ukrainian drone strikes. 38% of Russia's refining capacity is offline, the highest disruption ever. Gasoline output fell to 1 million tons in September, creating a 20% domestic shortfall. Economists cited by EP and RBC, Russian oil companies can do little to ease this crisis. And of course, this comes after Ukraine attacks on Russian petroleum refinery facilities. Russia warns of retaliation over EU scheme to seize Moscow's frozen billions to arm Ukraine. And that continues to go back and forth. What are they going to do with these stolen funds through sanctions? EU leaders are looking to deliver a $164 billion loan to Kiev backed by frozen Russian reserves. They're never paying that loan back. Pentagon announces it will scale back troops in Iraq in accordance with President Trump's guidance and in alignment with the U.S.-Iraq Higher Military Command and the joint statement issued on, 3-4 days ago now. The United States and a coalition of partners will reduce its military mission in Iraq. It's only been, since 1990? I don't know. Okay. They keep saying that. I think I remember reporting Iraq said, yeah, leave. And, it's the wind down, it appears, here now. Maybe more organized than the wind down of leaving Afghanistan. Little Marco says that Secretary of State says the United States is implementing snapback sanctions against the Iranian regime. New sanctions and export controls will target 44 actors tied to Iran's nuclear missile and military programs. Why is that report not correct there, Carrie, from Russia? And which part of it? Okay, the genocide continues there in Gaza. In the last 24 hours, 51 Palestinians have been killed and 180 have reported injuries, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health. Following Leo will make you an apologist, Max says there. Tony Blair, the butcher of Baghdad, is right in there caring about the poor Palestinians. Tony Blair and Gaza's future, why he's problematic. Iraq war, accused of misleading public. You don't say. Quartet envoy, Palestinians called his role useless, little progress. Conflicts of interest, his institute advised Gulf regimes with poor rights records. What his presence means for Gaza, Trump plan. Blair joins a foreign-led board to oversee Gaza's transition. Risk seen as sidelines. Palestinian leadership top-down approach. Potential value links to Western Gulf capitals. Donor mobilization focus on economics. Past record brokered the Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland, 1998. Prioritized economic steps over politics in Palestine. Widely criticized. Why he's disliked. Iraq war fallout and credibility gap viewed as close to Aardvark Gulf elites. Ineffective envoy record. Ongoing trust concerns over his institution. Oh, man. Tony Blair wouldn't dare capitalize and profiteer from genocide, would he? That seems to be what's being applied here. Okay, continuing. Andre Martiv on his channel discussed, Carrie says, I guess for a deeper dive there into Russia, Ukraine war. Okay, well, thankfully, we're not seeing any of this funding here, but they do need the help. A new document reveals that Aardvark government is paying a cohort of 14 to 18 social media clownfluencers between $6,100 and $7,300 per post. Aardvark Line is paying clownfluencers $7,000 per post. Is it worth it to sell your soul and be a genocide profiteer? Apparently, to some, it is. And so when you see the pro-genocide posts, they're not just, true believers. They're actually paid propagandists. So keep that in mind. And then flashback to Bibby here now. The Bible says those who bless Aardvark land will be blessed, and those who curse Aardvark land will be cursed. The Bible also says Satan intentionally misquotes scripture to trick leaders into serving him instead of God. But it wouldn't be Bibby that would do such a thing.
Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price. But those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot.
Really? The ADL announced today that they're deleting their glossary of extremism and hate. They made the decision after facing widespread criticism for listing Turning Point USA as a hate group. The Trump administration must cut ties with the ADL and stop pushing their agenda. With over 1,000 entries written over many years, the ADL glossary of extremism has served as a source of high-level information on a wide range of topics for years. We do appreciate that being informed by the ADL. But turns out we got antiseptic behavior coming out of the FBI. Kash Patel cuts ties, Comey's FBI, made with ADL as organization faces backlash for Turning Point USA criticism. And Kash Patel said James Comey wrote, quote, love letters to the ADL and emboldened FBI agents with them, embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran disgraceful ops spying on Americans. That era is over. This FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs. Dun, dun, dun. So this is clearly antiseptic. Here's a flashback to now under federal indictment, James Comey.
Your experience in hate crime prevention and investigations is essential and makes us better. Your research has helped FBI agents and analysts as they conduct assessments and prepare intelligence reports. And the training you voluntarily provide in classrooms, in conferences, and at the community level is eye-opening and insightful. Now, if this sounds a little bit like a love letter to the ADL, it is because I intended so. When I spoke to you 3 years ago, I sang your praises. I sang your praises and highlighted the way you fight for inclusivity and diversity, highlighted the way you fight for equality and justice. And I did that because at the time I described yours as an organization that works with us to fight hate crime and terrorism, to educate law enforcement, to build bonds of trust with important communities all over the country. I labeled that speech 3 years ago a love letter to the ADL. 3 years later, I can say from the perspective of the FBI, we are still in love with you.
Palantir advisor Jacob Hellberg went from this closed-door meeting with Christian Zionist Speaker of the House Mike Johnson to meeting with Netanyahu during his trip to the United States 2 weeks later. His husband, Keith Rabois, is on the left here in this image. The meeting with Netanyahu was part of an initiative to create direct channel of communications between policymakers in Aardvark land and investors and technological experts in the United States, according to the Aardvark Post. And so as long as they're married men here, we should, cheer this on. Again, Bibi met during his visit to America with world-renowned AI developers. The meeting was focused on numerous challenges and opportunities in the field, i.e. rolling out antiseptic technocracy here now. All of your Aardvark influencers, confluencers on the interwebs tell us that if you are against the genocide, you're a shill for Qatar, is what the narrative has been. Turns out President Trump's a shill for Qatar, according to their logic. President Trump has signed an executive order for the United States to guarantee the security of Qatar, a significant commitment to a non-NATO Arab ally. The United States shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of the state of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States. So come on, Aardvarks, whack them again. I saw Hamas hiding over there in Qatar. Let's get it on. We shall see how this all plays out. AFP reports Hamas weighs amendments to Trump's Gaza plan amid mediator pressure. A source close to Hamas told AFP the movement is considering changes to President Trump's 20-point peace plan for Gaza, particularly clauses on disarmament and departure of its fighters. Well, we were already told any changes whatsoever will be cancel it, and you'll all be terminated. And so the Aardvarks have busted Greta and her flotilla.
This is the Israeli Navy. You are approaching a blockaded zone. If you wish to deliver aid to Gaza, you may do so through the established channels. Please change your course toward the port of Ashdod, where the aid will undergo a security inspection and then be transferred into the Gaza Strip. This is the Israeli Navy.
So there's a big international incident here developing. The participants in the global Sumud flotilla, you had a bunch of them, man. You had 56 participants from Turkey, 49 from Spain, 48 from Italy, 33 ruckus from France. France just always has to, throw up their 33s. Tunisia had 28 participants, Malaysia 27, Greece 26, United States 22, Germany 19, Switzerland 19, Algeria 17, Ireland 16, UK 15, Brazil 14, Sweden 10, and rounding it out, Netherlands with 10 participants. Here's a nice little infographic to give you an idea about the global, worldwide participation for the Gaza Freedom Flotilla operation that we just saw has been interrupted by Aardvark Navy. Greta Thunberg is detained by Aardvarks again after a Navy closed in on Flotilla as it neared Gaza. Greta Thunberg has been hauled off of her Freedom Flotilla by Aardvark Naval Forces. Yeah, and I saw some videos of them shooting water cannons at them. Also, Illinois' veteran on board Gaza aid flotilla intercepted by Aardvark Navy. And so we do have U.S. Navy, Marine veterans also part of this effort. Nearly 50 boats are among this aid flotilla operation with about 500 people on board. We showed you that infographic about where all these people are from. And now a word from Greta.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I'm currently on board the boat Alma as part of the global Sumud Flotilla, a peaceful humanitarian mission to deliver aid to the civilian population of Gaza and to break Israel's illegal and inhumane siege. And it's it's likely to believe that we will be intercepted tonight by Israel, which would be a blatant violation of humanitarian and maritime law. Israel is not immune to international law. They must be held accountable for their war crimes. Stop the genocide, stop the occupation, and free Palestine.
Damn, go Greta. They labeled her as Hamas, essentially saying that this flotilla is organized and funded by Hamas. So there you go. Here's a video of her arrest. No audio here. Oh, we did get some audio. She's a little too high profile for them to just whack. But hey, they're crazy. They may whack them, may whack her and everybody else there. Strike called in Italy. Protest flare over interception of Gaza aid ships. And so there's international protests now going on all around the world. Istanbul, Turkey, especially a lot of protests there in Italy, Rome, Naples, a bunch of major cities there in Italy, France, Paris, France, Barcelona, Spain, Brussels, Belgium, Athens, Greece, Berlin, Germany, all staging protests in support of the Freedom Flotilla and against as a violation of international law by the Aardvark Navy. So, yeah, the police there, and some would say they did not see this coming, but police there in Berlin, Germany have arrested Aardvark activists that support the Freedom Flotilla, wouldn't you know? And so, again, we did not see this coming. Colombia expels Aardvark diplomatic delegation after Gaza flotilla interception. So this whole flotilla deal, again, is turning into quite the international incident. Red Cross forced to halt operations as Aardvark army encircles Gaza City. Aardvark Land's defense minister warned that this will be the last chance for residents to flee, while threatening that those who remain will be considered terrorists. They're already considered terrorists. Another journalist has been whacked there. TRT World freelance journalist Yahya Barzak was killed by an Aardvark airstrike there in central Gaza. This poor soul here, of course, he was Hamas, obviously, with his camera there. And so add him to the list of journalists whacked by Aardvarks. Aardvark Land orders Palestinians to leave Gaza City. It's the last opportunity, or you will be labeled a militant supporter of terrorism, and the full force of the IDF will be brought to bear upon you if you don't leave, i.e. ethnic cleansing. Aardvark Land orders Palestinians to leave Gaza City, saying those who stay will be considered terror supporters. They're already considered terror supporters. Defense Minister Katz out of Aardvark Land. Do we have his, I think I had his direct post. Yeah, here's his direct post in regards to this latest ultimatum to leave Gaza City. The IDF has completed in recent hours the capture of the Netzrim axis up to the Gaza coast, effectively dividing Gaza between north and south. This tightens the encirclement around Gaza City. Anyone leaving it southward will be required to pass through the IDF's inspection checkpoints. This is the last opportunity for Gaza residents who wish to do so to move south and leave Hamas terrorists isolated in Gaza City itself, facing the IDF's ongoing operations at full force. Those who remain in Gaza will be considered terrorists and terror supporters. The IDF is prepared for all possibilities and is determined to continue its operations until all hostages are returned and Hamas is disarmed on the path to ending the war. How do you end the war? Well, you whack everybody there and there will be no more terror supporters, you see. Here's some images of Gazans fleeing. Surprised they're not just, whacking them as they flee Gaza City here now.
هذه القذائف نتيجة تقدم هذه الآليات وللتغطية على تقدم هذه الآليات الإسرائيلية كما نتابع ونشاهد. الحركة للمواطنين كما بالصورة هي التي تتحدث وتتكلم. الحركة لا تزال مستمرة من مدينة غزة باتجاه مناطق وسط القطاع. لا توجد أي حركة للمركبات من الوسط باتجاه مدينة غزة تحسبا لأي عملية استهداف من قبل الجيش الإسرائيلي كما كان يفعل سابقا.
So you can see right there the path along the beach and the whole rest of the place is leveled, and they may very well be leveled before we know it here now. And what is Hamas' reply to all of this, i.e. Western intelligence? Hamas reply to this, to the statement by Katz. They say the statements of the terrorist war minister Katz, in which he declared that anyone remaining inside Gaza City will be classified either as a fighter or as a supporter of terrorism, represent a blatant embodiment of arrogance and contempt for the international community and for the principles of international law and humanitarian law. They are a prelude to escalating the war crimes his army is committing against hundreds of thousands of innocent residents of the city, women, children, and the elderly. Germany says 3 suspected Hamas operatives were planning Aardvark attacks. There you go. UPI. 3 men suspected of being Hamas members were arrested on a number of charges by authorities in Germany. They said they did not see these arrests coming. So, cracking down on the Hamas in Germany. Continuing here, Dutch pension fund dumps Caterpillar over Gaza demolitions. The Netherlands' largest pension fund dumps entire stake in Caterpillar over Gaza. The Netherlands' largest pension fund has divested its entire holdings in U.S. construction equipment company maker Caterpillar, a supplier to Aardvark Land Army, citing the company's socially responsible investment policy. The fund announced today. The Dutch National Civil Pension Fund, which manages about $615 billion in assets, previously held roughly $454.99 million in Caterpillar shares. So like almost $500,000 worth of shares there. The way we invest must ensure good returns and at the same time be socially responsible, a speaker from the fund said. Well, hey, good job there, Netherlands. Germany ignores export ban to send more military equipment to Aardvark land. In August, German Chancellor Merz issued a ban on weapons exports to Aardvark land that could be used in Gaza. Turns out war profiteering trumps their social justice virtue signaling, as if they cared about dead Palestinians. Germany approved arms sales to Aardvark land worth at least $2.9 million, despite an export ban on weapons that could be used for genocide in Gaza. The war profiteering must continue, you see. Yemen's Ansarallah announces sanctions. See, Yemen's big boys, they can do sanctions too, or just shoot rockets at your ship. Yemen's Ansarallah announced sanctions on 13 U.S. oil firms, including ExxonMobil and Chevron. So they're getting ready to get whacked big time in Yemen here now. Ansarallah, it seems, going after Rockefeller oil interests. So, wow. Yeah. The sanctions are a response to U.S. measures taken against Ansarallah earlier this year, despite a truce agreement with the Trump administration, under which the group pledged to halt attacks on U.S.-connected vessels in the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, and HOCC. HOCC added about this report. The Republic of Yemen will never tolerate any action that affects its sovereignty, security, and stability, and will exercise its legitimate right to apply the principle of reciprocity. Yemen got some balls on them, man. And then to wrap up the show, hey, here's some good news. With all the death, destruction, and government shutdown, here's some good news to wrap up this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. Dead Sea Scrolls exhibition marking 75 years since discovery to open at Museum of the Bible. And so I don't even know where Museum of the Bible is, but an exhibition featuring fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest known copies of biblical texts, will open at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. later on this year, November 22nd, offering visitors in the United States a rare chance to see artifacts central to the history of yeah. Anyhow, if you're in D.C., go check out some of the Dead Sea Scrolls there. And with that, we're going to wrap up this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. Let's go to the channels quickly. Over to the Odysee. Check out the chat there. We see Gurr, Fat Bob, John. It may all be staged, you know. We always have to take that into consideration. John. Saul Alinsky, Democrat. Scripts within scripts within scripts. Indeed. Indeed. A nice controllable number of humans at 500 million. And we do miss old Jane Goodall. Let's see here. Where's Ann Coulter these days? Fat Bob says. I don't know. Yeah, she's been pretty quiet there. Federal bureaucracy is the heart of middle class. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, minorities out there. If you're dependent on government, you shouldn't be, and everybody else in between. This is a great lesson on getting yourself off of government dependence, especially with pushing $37.5 trillion of national debt. The siren is blaring here now. Get yourself off government dependence, if at all possible. Here now, public service announcement to you. Warning. Great chat there. Highland also jumping in there. When do I get an AI gardener? It may be coming sooner than you think. Humanoid robots are on the horizon. Panasonic had a robotic lawnmower, kind of like Roomba. Indeed. Indeed. Okay, thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for tuning in on the Odysee, keeping that chat lively. The Bitchute, as always, thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute. The Rumble, we had a lively chat over there, as per usual. Shout out to Denver, Pamela, Carrie, Who else was on the Rumble? I thought I saw maybe a few others. Of course, Ruckus on multiple channels, keeping the chats lively. Thank you guys for tuning in there. The YouTube, we saw Mac. Dick moves, screw your free thumbs. Exactly. Oh, yeah, by the way, the government has also announced, even though it's under a partial shutdown, your federal income taxes are still due. So we do appreciate that tyranny of taxation continuing. Bendy as well. Shout out to you on the YouTube. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lively as well. And plutonium as well. Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem was initially named the Palestine Archaeological Museum and served as the primary location for the Dead Sea Scrolls after their discovery. That's an interesting little tidbit there. And there you go for your full, deep, in-depth reporting on all things Epstein. Johnny Vedmar's stuff is at Newspaste online. So there's some good references for those that can stomach going even further down the Epstein rabbit hole at Johnny Vedmar's Newspaste. Thank you everybody for tuning in to on the Facebook, Kick, Twitch, and again, or X as well. And again, on the YouTube and the Rumble and the Odysee is where the chat is most lively, especially the Rumble. And remember, everybody, for links that we discussed for further research and your own finding the source here about what I'm talking about. And I guess, according to Carrie, we need to look at some of the Russian reporting and may not have been 100% accurate. So we covered as much as humanly possible on these 2 hours of Weaponized News, a little less than 2 hours. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we hope the government stays shut down forever. I have my doubts that will happen. But until then, go government shutdown, go Chuck Schumer, go Democrats. Good job for the wrong reasons. At this point, we'll take what we can get. As always, everybody, do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening, and we'll see you back here